Hello everyone, I am Amit Kumar, Assistant Teacher of Paramount Public School. Today I am going to teach class 8th, chapter 1 of history, a period of transition. And from now I will teach you some of the word meaning that we have, difficult word meanings or terminology in Hindi also. A period of transition. Transition, that is change, parivartan. The history of any country is divided into three main parts. History of any country. So up to now, the history is divided into three main parts: ancient history, prachin history, medieval history, madhyakalin itihas, and modern history, the modern period that we have now, Adhunik Kal. The term modern history. So in this chapter, we will study about modern history. In this chapter, a period of transition, we will discuss about modern history. So the term modern history refers to different periods of time in different parts of the world, because you have already studied in 7th class or 6th class that the ancient history, the medieval history and the modern history is not having the same time everywhere in the world. If we talk about medieval history started in Europe from 6th to the early 18th century, but in India 6th to 15th century in Europe, but in India 8th to 18th century. And here look at that, the modern history, like in Europe, modern history starts from 15th century, but in India it starts from 18th century. So that's why it refers to the different periods of time in different parts of the world. In 18th century, India became slave under Britishers when East India Company came here for trade only, and after that they became rulers, and near about 190 years we remain as a slave under Britishers. So the term modern history refers to different periods of time in different parts of the world. So here first we talk about the sources of modern history, that what type of sources we have. As compared to ancient and medieval history, the sources of modern history are very richer as compared to ancient and medieval, because in ancient India we don't have written sources, we don't have any written sources, because at that time people don't have knowledge of writing. In medieval period we have so many written sources, but at that time the languages were not having much in the form of the local languages that we have, because at that time the sources we have in the Persian language. So these Persian sources from at that time to right now, so many universities are there that are changes these Persian sources into other sources like other languages like Hindi, Punjabi as well as in English. Punjabi University Patiala is doing so much work regard to this. But here in modern history we have every type of sources in every language. So these sources can be divided into two parts. If we talk about modern history, these two types of sources that we have: the primary sources and secondary sources. The modern history, the sources that we divided into two parts: primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources first. These are the sources which provide first-hand accounts of an event or a time period. First-hand information, that these are the information that provided, that we can see very easily. If we see Taj Mahal, for example, you have seen Taj Mahal, but for Taj Mahal, who had made it, when it has been built, for this you have to depend on secondary sources, because these primary sources are dependent on secondary sources and these secondary sources are dependent on primary sources. So what are the primary sources that we have? Eyewitness, who has seen that incident or event. Eyewitness is account of events जो लोगों ने देखा और आपको बता दिया. Newspaper reports, whatever written in newspaper. Diaries, so many people have habit of writing diary. Journals, letters or some type of interviews that we have. After that, autobiographies, Svajivani. Autobiography is called Svajivani, that written by a person for herself or himself. Biography जीवनी किसी और ने लिखी. Official records, government publications. Government has given so many events about whatever happened, so government issued so many letters regard to that. And census data, we know that after every 10 years we have census is called Janganna. Now 2021 we have pending for our census, but it may be little bit late because 2020 due to coronavirus we don't have start this work. We were not able to start this work. Paintings, we have seen so many paintings. Photographs, we don't know about photographs, but if we want to know about that photograph, we have to depend on secondary source. Films or any television programs. Monuments, Taj Mahal that we have, Red Fort we have, India Gate, Gateway of India. Artifacts is kalakritiyan. Artifacts is known as kalakritiyan. Coins, sikke, jo different periods that we have, different coins, etc. So these are the primary sources that we have, and these primary sources we can be explained here in secondary sources. So these are based on primary sources. These secondary sources are based on primary sources. When we have painting here, we have explanation here. If we have any monument here, we have explanation here. Look at that. They explain, discuss, describe, analyze, interpret, that is व्याख्या करना, interpret, और summarize, to shorten the data, उसको छोटा कर लेना. So primary data, to summarize the primary data, whatever we have here we explain here. Examples, scholarly books, whatever the books that we have here we interpret here. Who has written this book? Here in primary source we have book, who has written, when this book has been written, why it has been written, and which period this book has been written. So we have here encyclopedias and other textbooks. Reviews, when we have any review, our own point, जब हम अपना point रखते हैं किसी चीज के ऊपर, are called review. And articles, timely the articles, so many articles has been written, so these primary sources has been explained here in secondary sources. After that we have characteristics of this modern period. What are the characteristics? Industrialization, industry has been spread this time. That's why this modern period is known as Adhunik Kal. We have industry here. Urbanization, people move from villages to cities to towns. So we have buildings we have here. So very high buildings we have. Nationalism, the feeling of nationalism. Everybody has feeling of nationalism. I am living here in India, so I love my country. For me, my country is the best. So feeling of nationalism, feeling of democracy. Because this time, what is democracy? Demos plus Croatia, that the government elected by people. When we completed the age of 18 years, we are able to cast our vote, and we decided that who will become our chief minister or prime minister. And after that, the last point that we have in this regard is science and technology. That what is the role of science and technology in a modern period? That we are totally depend on science and technology. We have today mobiles in our hand, that is science and technology. We have laptops. Every type of news, whatever happened in America, we can we very easily we know here in India. Whatever happened in India, Americans can very easily know. So this is the reason, the science of technology that we have for this today. Up to that we have finished, and in the next lecture we will discuss about the movements and events that give rise to the modern age. Thank you.